Y'all, today is Thursday, June 12th. It's 8 p.m. I'm just sitting here, just being very reflective of things that God has been showing me about myself. And not necessarily anything new that He hasn't already told me, but just me now identifying scenarios in my life where these qualities or these traits have popped up. So, like, for instance, let me talk about in a romantic sense. I say I'm very, very clear on the type of man I want, right? I want a strong man, strong-minded, strong-willed. He come in and you just feel thunder, y'all. Like a man, like a man's man. I don't know how else to say it. A man's man. When you look at that man, you see a man. And I say, I always say, like, I desire to just become a passenger to him, like to just you allow him to lead me and not just become a passenger and I just submit to him. And so when I think about my Deborah anointing and how God uses me to influence the men around me, especially the ones that He uses in a romantic sense, I can see how when these men come into my life, when they are not walking in that. So let me say this. Let me start by this. I look at men in two different ways. There are men, and then there are just grown men. I mean, grown boys. They're just grown boys. You're like 14 years old, still in a 45-year-old body. Like you're very much a grown kid. You have no emotional intelligence. Your maturity level is like in the negatives. Like how you handle people, how you handle your own emotions is just not where it needs to be at the age, for you to be the age that you are. So I view men in those two ways. Men, grown men, and then grown boys. And so when I'm interacting with a grown boy and I see you as a grown boy, I receive you as that. And I have a lot of grace for grown boys because you just don't know no better. You just don't know no better. So I got a lot of grace and understanding for them. But for men, grown men, I don't have a lot of grace and understanding for them. I don't. Because when I view you as a man, when you become a man in my eyes, you 100% supposed to be ready to just be that man. Like, there's nothing that I should have to show you or tell you or remind you, because as a real man, you already supposed to know that. As a real man, like XYZ. And so I'm recalling situations where I have viewed a man in my eyes as a real man, and he has not done something that I felt him as a man should already know. And I don't emasculate him. I don't do that at all, y'all. I don't do that. I don't emasculate him, but I do begin to resent him. And I have a lot of pent up frustration because you a man. How you don't know to do that already? How you don't know that you're supposed to do that? And so while I may not call him out on it, I start resenting him. I start resenting he's not being who he's supposed to be. And I feel Holy Spirit on me so bad. So I know I'm probably going to get emotional. I really hope I don't, though. So in those moments, like, again, I don't even look at this person as a partner. I then, in my head, it's almost like I start transitioning him into the category of a grown boy. Because if I had to tell you to do anything, you just not no man to me. And I just recall scenarios where I wasn't right. In my pride, again, any man who was in my life in any type of way, I pray about them. I talk to God about them. So God is telling me how to deal with y'all, but I'm not trying to hear that. Because in my eyes, as a man, you supposed to know how to do that already. So I'm just being very reflective of those moments where God is having to break pride off of me too, y'all. And I'm looking at these men. Remember, these men that I'm dealing with, the coach, my best friend, and I'm looking at them like they just so filled with pride. They can't even receive what I'm saying to them. And again, God has used the coach to reflect back to me, daughter, you are also filled with pride. And so today, I just feel the pride leaving me. And I feel the humility stepping in, and I feel God just directing me and showing me and like giving me the grace and giving me the softness to deal with this type of stuff, and to not change my opinion of these men and change how I view them, but to allow my heart to be more soft with them and more vulnerable with them, so that they can trust me as their safe space. Because as these men, y'all, these men do not grow up having safe spaces, and it is not particularly easy to get out into the world as a man and search for a safe space, because you're never even supposed to have one. You're not supposed to have a safe space as a man, because you're supposed to work and provide and do this and do that, and you ain't even supposed to have emotions. So why would you have a safe space for what? You're not supposed to have no emotions. And so these men, they try to find a safe space, and they can't find that safe space. It's already hard for them, but then they have women who might be like me, and we don't make it easy. Because even again, there are many different type of women when it comes to this. You got the women who will emasculate them and call them bees and call them, all like their name and stuff. I used to do that. I no longer do that, right? So, but I don't say anything at all, and I just have this resentment in my heart and in my mind, and that type of tension can't be hidden. Because you're going to do something, and I'm going to say a smart remark, and it's going to come at you. And so, like, for the coach, one day, he said, me and him was having a conversation, and he was just sending me some posts from Instagram, but I took it as he was trying to say something to me, and I just went off. And I didn't, like, curse him out or nothing like that. But I was like, well, you don't do this and you don't do that, and I can't teach that to you. And he was like, respectfully, I'm getting kind of sick of your comments. Respectfully, I didn't ask you to teach me nothing. And so, in that moment, I'm not even thinking about how I'm coming across, because I just been holding that in for so long. And so, again, these men, I really, really do struggle with the idea that men be nervous. God told me that the coach was nervous about me way before the coach ever told me he was nervous. He did end up saying that he was nervous and he was scared, and I commended him for that. But I struggle with believing like men can be nervous. So even when like men be trying to approach me, and they say they intimidated, I just be looking like, bro, there's nothing intimidating about me. Like, I hate that. But I see that I'm this woman who have it together, and you can tell in my energy, like, I don't play. I can be kind of strict and stuff like that. So I get why they think that. But when they use it as an excuse to not come and approach me and stuff like that, I just don't be understanding it, and I don't like it. And so, again, the coach had told me that he was nervous. And God had told me that too. And that's why, like, he would do several things, or he would say several things to, like, try to impress me. Like, he would say stuff like, what's something that he said that I knew he was trying to, like, come across well? Okay, so remember, I told y'all he talk a lot. He talk a lot about himself, his business, what he do for others. He do that to try to impress me. He's being honest, but he's rambling because he's nervous, and he wants to impress me. Like, he wants to make sure I see him as this man, as this good person, because the age thing had been brought up. And I'm only 4 years older than him, so it should not even be a conversation. But he does things because he's nervous, or he moves really, really slow because he's nervous, because he's like, if I do the wrong thing, she gonna cut me off, or she gonna walk away, and it's not gonna work. And I get that. And so, again, this is just me just being reflective over who I have been, as God is calling me to be influential in men's lives, and he's calling me to be Deborah in their lives. I have got to change how I view men. I gotta not look at them in these categories that I'm looking at them as. Because when my expectations of them are built off that category. If I view you as a little boy, I don't expect you to do nothing but little boy stuff. But if I view you as a man, the one time you don't meet something, I'm about done with you. And that's not fair at all. And this is something that God has been trying to show me for years, because I can even point back scenarios with my best friend that it was the same way. It's nothing wrong with me having standards and boundaries, but when God has placed somebody in my life, I have to consistently and continually seek God on this relationship and how to interact. And I have to continue moving in the way that God calls for me to move. And so if God is saying I have the Deborah anointing, then if he's not doing something right, don't down him. Again, I don't do that. Don't resent him. Show him. Show him how to do it right. Baby, I love when you do this. Do you think, maybe we could switch it up a little bit and you could do it like this? I know how to do that already, y'all. I know how to get what I want from a man by switching my tone and switching my words up. I just don't like doing it, because why won't you just do it right the first time? Why do I have to do that? And I'm just in a moment of reflection, y'all. I'm just in a moment of reflection. God has had me in a space of rest. He's been telling me for the past 2 days to rest. Yesterday I was supposed to be rested and I did not. I stressed it. I stressed the whole day about the closing of my house and stuff like that. I stressed. Today I rested. I slept all day, y'all. I told my baby, you might be fasting tonight because I don't feel like cooking. I slept all day. And in the rest is when God can show you things. In the rest, when you're rested and you're not moving and you're not doing too much and you're not thinking too much, God can this was so random. The coach had been on my mind, but I hadn't been talking to him. And I watched a video by Stephanie P. Smith today. She said God is abolishing their pride. And so I'm thinking, yeah, God, go ahead and get him by that pride. Melt that pride off of him. But then God came to me and he told me there was a message that God wanted me to send to him. And I'm like, where is all this coming from? And I'm like, are you really wanting me to call that man? And he wanted me to call him and he wanted me to say it. So he couldn't talk at that time. He answered like soon as the phone rang, y'all. And he was in the car. And so he said he was going to call me back. But I went ahead and sent a voice note because I'm probably going to be asleep by the time he tried to call back. But God just had this on me, and I'm thankful, God. I'm thankful that you even trust me with this knowledge about myself, because some of us cannot receive nothing bad about ourselves. We don't want to hear nothing bad. We don't want to hear that we did anything wrong. For the longest, I just felt like he was inadequate, and he just wasn't who he said he was, and that's why we didn't work out. But God had to show me. And I thank you that he trusts me with that knowledge about myself. That he trusts that I'm not going to be big-headed, that I'm out. He knows that I want to be humble. God knows, even with everything that I do, God knows that I want to be humble. He knows that I want to please him. And so he trusts me with the revelation that he gave me about myself, and he knows that I'm going to do well with it. And again, the conversation in the voice note that I sent the coach is not for us to get back on good terms or anything. We're not on bad terms, but it's not for us to resume. But if there's anything that I might have said to him that hurt him, it made him shut down, knowing that he's emotional, I wanted to take the time and build him back up. So yeah, y'all, I just wanted to come and just, encourage you guys to be reflective, allow God to reveal things to you about yourself, and then make things right in the way that he tells you to. Don't be calling around giving people apologies if he ain't told you to do that. If he tells you to do that, do that. If he tells you let it go, let it go. Whatever he tells you to do with the information that he gives you, then you do that. Don't take it upon yourself to do what you want to do with it because you think that this is what you're supposed to do, because you think this is what's going to get you the outcome that you want. Do what God tells you to do with that information. But be reflective and let's stop being so quick to point the finger at other people. Let's let God reveal things to us so we can sit back and say, you know what? I ain't handle that right at all. I'm sorry. say in that apology, apologize to God. Apologize to yourself. I need to apologize to myself that I was so critical that I was not even ready to receive love that God was trying to give me because I thought that it was supposed to look a certain type of way. I need to apologize to myself because I keep crying about wanting to be married and stuff like that. Then I keep running all the men off because I can't even receive you because of the own requirements that I have on y'all. I need to apologize to myself. So, yeah, that's just a quick word that God dropped on me. I hope it blesses who it is for. I hope God ministers it to you in a way that he wants to, that he needs to. And I pray it does what it needs to do in your life. You all be blessed, and I'll see you on the next video.